are talking swimming. We'll bring on head coach Laura Demaline of our women's and men's swimming and diving team. She joins the show live tonight. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Why don't we start with this past weekend? Another really good performance, and it feels like on both sides, things are really clicking nicely.
Yeah. So I think if I remember correctly, our men's team is at 7-1 now. Our women's team is at 8-1. So we had a really great start to this first half of the season. At the Oberlin Invitational 3 weekends ago, we ended up third for both the men's and women's program, which was the highest finish for our team at that meet. So we were really excited with how they performed on a very short rest. We didn't lift that week, and we laid off of their legs for a little bit. So the fact that they got up and swam as well as they did, we had 100% season best times. I think the last time I counted, it was about 32 lifetime best times.
Holy smokes.
And 24 swims or diving performances moved onto or up on the top 10 performances for the program. So to do that this early in the season was really exciting.
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah.
That's outstanding. I guess this is a crazy time of year because you're juggling, trying to keep momentum going into a little bit of a layoff from the competition perspective.
Correct.
Plus the holidays, right? You've got Thanksgiving, you've got Christmas, you've got finals. There's a lot on your plate to manage right now. I don't want to ask you something as blanket as how do you do it, but what are the unique challenges of going through this part of the schedule?
Yeah, so now that we're not racing every weekend, we will be able to actually start to climb in our yardage. We've made an adjustment starting a week ago where we are lifting 3 times a week now instead of 2. So in swimming, similar to cross country, we start to build that yardage as we're trying to broaden the base. So this is really that time where we get to put the work in because we're not racing every weekend. So I'm sure a few of the swimmers are cringing while they listen to this because they know what's coming. But it's a gradual climb, so just to try and limit injury and make sure that we're really preparing them for the second half of the year.
I remember, what felt like maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago as we kind of previewed the season. And
yeah.
You shared a lot of your thoughts on what you kind of hoped things would look like. Obviously, from a team record perspective, things are going well. But
sure.
in terms of the individual growth, I realize the lifetime bests are there. The career bests are continuing to come in. What has surprised you about the way that this has gone as well as it has?
I honestly think, Brendan, as a team grows as quickly as ours did this past year, bringing in a freshman class of 29, so you really, every single year you are trying to build and grow and maintain your culture. And when you double your team, that is something that as a coaching staff we needed to really, really make sure we were kind of keeping a pulse on. I mentioned a few weeks ago when we were here that I was really excited about our leadership, and I think we've seen those strong leaders sort of bring the freshmen along with them, and we have such an incredible personality on our team right now that, I think part of the success of the program is coming because of how well we are doing culturally right now. We say all the time, we love how much you guys love each other. But our team has taken on a team-first mentality. It's been our motto the entire season. A couple weeks ago, it took on new meaning. The swimmers and divers will know what that means. But it's something that truly has bonded our team, and I think that it's turning the season into a very, very special season.
What are your impressions so far of what you've seen around the OAC?
So all of the programs now have swam in their mid-season invite meet. So what is kind of exciting is that you're seeing representatives from all 5 schools in the top 10 times. You're seeing a lot of depth from some of the programs, and so I think it's going to make for a really exciting OAC meet. There's been a couple upsets in dual meets already this fall. So it sort of is, again, as we're all building through this time of the year with our eyes on the OAC Championship in February and preparing for that taper meet. It's pretty exciting because I think that at this point it's really anybody's meet, and that sounds like a very big proclamation to make. I totally understand that, but the conference has come so far that it's really exciting to see how well everybody's racing right now.
Well, and isn't that cool? I mean, you think about a lot of the different sports in the OAC. Many of them have at least one school that seems to kind of set the bar. But I really believe that for the last 7 to 10 years, it feels like the conference as a whole has gotten so much better because you get a pretty good look at what it takes to compete at a high national level. Most of the time, in most sports in this league, somebody is making a deep run in the NCAA tournament.
Yep.
And that's even been the case in swimming. You've seen teams that have sent lots of swimmers to the national meet. So you get a very first-person look at, hey, if you want to get to nationals, this is what you got to be.
This is where you need to place. This is where you need to be.
Yeah, it feels tangible, right? It's not this far-off thought that you can't identify with. And I would argue that with the growth you've seen over these last couple of years, that it's positively impacting your group.
100%. And I think it's something where when we are talking to our recruits and when we're talking to our current swimmers specifically, we're talking about swimming into March, and it's not something that is a pipe dream. It's actually a plan. This is what we're looking for. This is what we think it's going to take. So at the mid-season meet, this is where you need to be. At the end of January, this is where you need to be. And that's really an exciting position to be in. And I think I share that excitement with the other head coaches in our conference because we are seeing our conference become more relevant on the national stage.
Laura Demaline, our guest, the men's and women's swimming and diving coach at BW. Obviously, this is a fun time of year because your next trip is a big one.
Oh, yeah.
It's one that you love. It's one that your staff loves. I know that the student athletes love it. For those of us who don't get to go to Florida with you, give us an idea what that training trip is like, not just from the in-the-pool perspective, but also from how important this time of year is for your team in terms of continuing to build that culture.
Yeah, so for our juniors and seniors, they have experienced a Florida training trip. Our sophomores were not able to last year, and now we have this large group of freshmen that have not yet. So the majority of our team has not been down there. So a lot of this week is just preparing them for what the week will bring. Yes, it's in Florida, so I am not complaining at all, and we know how lucky we are. But they work incredibly hard while they're there. So we typically have 3 training sessions a day. So, our saying when we're down there is eat, swim, sleep, beach, repeat. And so it's just kind of that cycle. The people at the condominium association joke that we're in bed before the retirees are. They said, yeah, it's, they're working hard. They're up early.
It's because we're up at 4:30.
Yeah, we're on the beach at 7 a.m. doing dry land. So which dry land, for those of you that are wondering, is working out on dry land for swimmers. But it's something where we're there for the entire week. And for a lot of them, it is the first time in their lives they get to just be an athlete. So many of our athletes at BW are juggling not only a strict course load, but also a job and families and friends and community organizations, sometimes Greek life. And so to be able to get them there and train in the facility we train in and get to just be a swimmer or just be a diver for a week is really special. And we get to stand up on the pool deck and enjoy it. So I know they work incredibly hard, and not being able to go last year was something we noticed that, we had missed out on. So to be able to go back and to have the support of the university to go back there this year, we're really excited.
Roughly halfway through the season, obviously you've got the meet when you're down in Sarasota. You've got 4 meets scheduled in January, and then the OAC Championships coming up in February, with the obvious exception of trying to get everybody swimming at their best come championship season time. Is there something in particular that you are most looking forward to seeing in this second half of the year?
So, one of the things that I've always, as I got into coaching, and this is not some super fancy secret to swimming, but I've always been able to tell that our swimmers are ready to begin that taper, begin that descend in yardage and effort when they start to swim fast tired. So when we're really kicking their butts all week long and they're saying, oh, coach, we're sore, but then on the weekend they still get up and swim fast, that's really exciting because I think it helps build their confidence. We're seeing they start to understand their potential, and then they get to rest. So it's sort of, now that we're in the second half, they know that these next 6 weeks or so are going to be pretty challenging. There's not really any other way to say it. They know. One of our seniors, Kayla, she's a distance swimmer, and she always says, Coach, I've accepted my lot in life. So I think that they have all accepted what these next 6 weeks are going to be, but sort of especially coming off of the Oberlin Invitational and how incredibly they swam and dove. We have a freshman diver that's already qualified for the NCAA regional meet. I mean, that's
cool.
Just awesome, right? So to sort of see where they were, and to know that if they put this work in, this end goal is waiting for them, it's really, really neat.
What's the? I guess we'll wrap up with this one. What's the most challenging or nervous part for you during this stretch of time where you've put so much time and effort in as a student athlete, while they're, for lack of a better way to say it, like really under your control? Mm-hmm. And then after your training trip, you don't spend as much time with them for a couple weeks, right?
Yeah.
They're home for the holidays. They're with their families. They're at holiday parties. The dedication that it takes to compete at a high level, to make sure you keep eating and drinking the right things and not let go of your training regimen. What is most difficult or most nerve-wracking as a head coach during that kind of time?
Yeah. Excuse me, I'm sorry. So that's a great question, Brendan. And I think what it is coming off of the Florida trip, they're feeling pretty good.
Sure.
They're in great shape. They've worked really hard. And as they start to see their goals taking shape, I think it sends them home hungry and ready to keep going. So we try to make sure that what we send them home with is a realistic plan. So, I'm not saying that you need to go home and swim 3 times a day. Like,
right.
That's not realistic. So we send them home with a realistic plan. We talk about goals in Florida, that where do you want to be when you come back? So what do you need to continue doing so that when we return on January 3rd, you're ready to hit the ground running? I think that as a coach, it's not something that you necessarily get nervous or worry about, because I know that they're a good group and I know they're going to make the right decision, talking to all of you. But it's something where one of the things that we're going to start to discuss with them over these next few weeks is that winning isn't normal.
Right.
Winning is not something that everyone should expect, and it's not something that everybody gets to enjoy. Winning is special. So if we want to experience that, if we want to win, we have to go above and beyond. We can't just be mediocre. We can't just do what's easy. We have to take those steps, and we have to be abnormal. And so that's the message we'll send them home with, and welcome them back on January 3rd, ready to start working.
Well, it is so obvious that your group is having fun, and it's great to see the success. I'm so happy for you and for your staff and for your kids, and
Thanks,
wish you all the best over the next 6 weeks in particular, as you mentally stay locked in and then jump back in the pool in January.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's so good to see you.
Absolutely. Great to see you, too. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Laura Demaline, our head coach of the men's and women's swimming and diving teams here at BW. All right. And with that, we're going to bring on